it is a parent's worst nightmare, and it is a coach's second worst nightmare, what you and your team are going through right now. Um, why don't you just tell us about Tyreen? Who was Tyreen?
And I mean, it's really one thing you could really say about him is he'll do anything and everything in order to please. He was a pleaser. He was a hard worker. I know in many occasions we've switched his position in the middle of games, positions that he's never played, and he's just a kid. I got you, coach. I got you. It didn't matter what we asked him to do. He was team first all the way. Just a well-rounded kid. He came to us from Kent Meridian as a freshman, and you could tell right away that he was obviously an amazing football player, but just an amazing kid and an amazing person. He actually, our first 3 practices, sat on the sideline. We didn't have a helmet that would fit him because his hair was so huge. And by the 3rd day, I just walked over and just kind of started talking to him. He had tears in his eyes because he wanted everything to be out there playing football. And we got that figured out. And he just was, I want to play football, coach. So, and he's never looked back since then. He came in and school wasn't his first priority at the beginning, and he focused down on school. I know his mom was a big driving force in that, but I also think the Kentwood community helped foster that. But, I mean, he was well on his way, academically, working hard. I would check his grades, and I'd have a conversation with him, and all he would say is, "I got you, coach." And he was just that type of kid, not like, "Oh, I didn't do this," or somebody didn't do this. It was never somebody else's fault. It was always that, "Hey, I got you. I'm going to take care of it." And I could rest assured that he was going to take care of it. He's just a loving person. It was tough. Yeah, I think it is tough because, even going to we went to a kind of a going away, I guess, and a celebration of his life, and someone asked me to speak, and I couldn't. I mean, there was just what can you say?
Yeah.
I had a meeting with our football players where I talked to them, and I feel like, my voice was better heard within the confines of our football team and those daring to it. But if there was a kid that I wish, more for, it would be him. Just for the simple fact of just how great he was as a person, giving to his teammates.
I had heard that he was kind of a shy kid to begin with, and would not maybe step forward. But once he got a little comfortable or whatever, that loyalty in him just, it was there forever.
Oh, you're talking. He is probably the most loyal kid. There's one other kid that I would put in there with him, which is Tavon Miller, but he is one of the most loyal kids. It didn't matter what was going on. He was going to be on your side, and he was in the fight with his teammates and with you. It's every offseason we would go through a little bit of lull because it's not football season, and he would kind of disappear a little bit. And you knew, when it started getting close to football, he was going to be there. He was going to have everything he needed taken care of, and he was going to be ready to go. And he was moving to Arizona. His mom got a job there, and I was in full support. He has goals. I think it was one of the first times where he started to actually feel like he wanted to put himself first, which was, in my eyes, which was awesome. He was doing something for himself. He wanted to go down there. I know part of him wanted to stay at Kentwood, but also there was an opportunity down there with his mom and his mom getting a job for him to just flourish. And my one thing for him was to take care of your grades and start training, start working out, because he was going to be going to a school where football was king, and he needed to be ready when he got there. But, I talked to him probably a little over a week. I think the 22nd, 2 days after my birthday, he contacted me. And we just kind of, he wanted to see his friends before he left, and, that kind of conversation. And, it's really tough because you always think as a coach, was there something that I could have did to keep him out of that car, or to, hey, did I hold him back and keeping him here? Did he want to stay here a little bit longer because something that his team? But that part is tough. It's tough to not know what you could have did to maybe just been a better coach, a better mentor, to keep him out of that car, or to have him put his seatbelt on, or to just do something different.
Just try to prevent what happened, and
Yeah,
and that is a difficult. That's something that you wrestle with, and in the end, there really is not a whole lot that you could do in a situation like that, and then how it just hits. It just is a punch in the face, and coach, on top of it, I kind of figured we might touch on some of the things that are going on in the world right now, and how weird and awful it is, and hope that good things can come out of it. And then this gets, just gut punches you right in the middle of all of that already.
definitely. It's crazy. I haven't really spoken publicly about it and about what's going on in the world. What happened with George Floyd, and I know, in the position I'm in, my voice could carry some weight, but I just have felt like there's enough people speaking their truths that I kind of just want to be behind the scenes and working to hopefully improve the situation for my kids. My kids are going to be half black, half white. My wife is white, and just behind the scenes working hard to help them understand what's going on and why things are the way they are, and to hopefully push the envelope from behind the scenes.
You
I
know,
don't.
and
Go
I'm
ahead.
sure you can't wait for the day that a description of your race is no longer needed, one way or the other. And that's where we frankly should be right now. And I would say that the impact that you have on the young men in your care, that it's not necessary. And I understand, hearing and seeing people of prominence coming out with statements and thoughts. But for me, from an outsider looking in, coach, I would be and feel much better to know that you are teaching young men of all races, colorblind, of the things that need to be taught, of loyalty and dedication and unity and love for each other and working together and things like that. Um, like you said, you may your words out in public may have some impact on some people. It may be the target for others who decide that would be a good thing. But man, your influence and your impact, they all have the Kentwood jersey on, and that's where you belong, and you have proven that already.
And we've had conversations within our inner circle, brief ones about the situation, and just kind of trying to fill out and hear. And we have kids who their sole focus is on the riots that are going on and how they're not good. And then we've had kids on the other side whose sole focus is on George Floyd. So my 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 goal is to be able to have that conversation within our little community, and hopefully that we could come to an understanding on moving forward, and then be able to push that out into our bigger community. But
And then again, as we kind of come full circle on this, you're working on that. We're working with the virus thing and all the things that come with that, and then Tyrene comes, and then guess what? Everything else is important. Yes, it is, but there's nothing more important to you and your Kentwood family and his family than right now, and working on that and focusing on that. And that's um that's this is a harsh lesson of life that
yes,
your guys are having to go through.
it's it's been a ton for not only myself, but really for the kids to handle. And my goal, I think the reason why I'm able to move forward and pick up and take that next step is because I have to be there for them. I have to show strength for them. I mean, we had a conference call that next day, And I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to get up in front of the team and talk and really kind of share my feelings on the situation. But I knew that was what I needed to do, and not for myself, but for them, and partly for myself also, to be able to speak my truth and let them know how I'm feeling, but really to hopefully help them, especially with COVID-19, the George Floyd. I mean, this is our number one thing that we're feeling right now. All that stuff set aside. Um, and not being able to just go and put my hands around them and hug them up and love them up is tough.
Yeah.
It's really tough. But we've learned a lot of things through the game of football, and I know Tyron has heeded some of those things that he's learned, and some of our student athletes have learned a ton of things through trials and tribulations through football that they're trying to apply now to this situation. So I I just I'm just trying to be there for them, and then at some point when hopefully because you'll never get over it, we'll never get past it, but at some point I'll be able to sit back and just kind of work my way through how I'm feeling and how I'm dealing with it and how it affects my family and everything. So
Exactly, and that's as a coach, as you know, you have an extended family, no
definitely,
question about that. Um, Coach, thank you for talking with us about Tyrion and his and what he brought. I would say I would end this. Um, the balloon release you had the other night,
yes,
and I've been to services for family members, and then there's people that you who are these people? How did they know, our
yeah.
loved one? And the impact that someone has is sometimes not known or appreciated. And my understanding is the crowd that showed up for that. I mean,
It was
was that
it was
surprising or is that amazing or both?
I would tell you it's Tyron. It's Tyron. I mean, anyone he came in contact with, there was no way you could dislike him. He just was an amazing person, and if I was able to just, tell him one thing, it would just be that you're loved. He was loved by everyone, by everyone.
Perfect. We're going to leave it right there, Coach, and then I'm going to come back and do our regular show here where we'll touch on that just a little bit if you're up for it. But
Yep.
I'd also like to talk a little more about um, your your upcoming season and how long have you been there now?
This is going on my 6th year.
6 years. So
Yeah. Woo.
getting this thing turned around, man.
Yeah. I mean, Kentwood football has always been good.
Yeah.
Coach Rex Norris had things humming. It's not like it was a
Yeah.
huge ordeal. Like we needed to reshape everything. It just we
Hold on.
always been a school built on defense.
Yep. Let me get
And
started here.
oh,
Let me,
sorry about
that's all right. I'll restart here.